Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
This week's big question is, what is the best story song? In other words, a song that tells a story. And what is the worst story song? Also known as ballads, odes, whatever. Okay, so of all time, my best, one of my favorite story songs is I Know an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly, but that's an example of a story song. But, and Flipper did a great version of that. That was almost going to be my best, but I gave it a second thought and I decided on Ode to Billy Joe. It's from 1967 by a songwriter woman named Bowie Gentry. I happen to know it first by the Fifth Dimension version, which I sort of alluded to last week. It's a completely different version, but it's still the same, basically the same song. I loved it as a kid, and I still like it now. And I think what makes this a great story is that it's so layered. But I'll tell you, the story is told by the singer singing first person. She has a family. Her mother is cooking dinner, and the story is basically told over dinner time. So it's time, and it begins with the first verse. It's time to eat dinner. Mother calls everyone in. They're working on she's picking cotton, the daughter who's telling the story. And the mom says, by the way, I heard that Billy Joe McAllister, not Billy Joe Armstrong, if you're thinking it was.
Be better if it was. Keep listening.
Jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge, basically committed suicide. And you get the sense that the daughter had some kind of relationship with this Billy Joe, but it's never explicitly stated, but you understand that that's what happened. And they're eating dinner. Pop says, oh, that kid never really had much sense at all. And brother said, oh, I just saw him the other day at the sawmill on Choctaw Ridge. And mother's saying, oh, to the daughter, you don't seem to have much of an appetite today, and doesn't really get the drift that, this death is affecting her. And then she says, by the way, that preacher is coming for dinner on Sunday, and he says he saw somebody who looks like you, the daughter, that is, near the throwing something off with Billy Joe, throwing something off the bridge. And then we never know what, that's kind of the mystery of the song. You never find out what they threw off the bridge. And why he committed suicide. But that's the song. You can listen to it many times and be intrigued.
It's one of my favorite songs of all time, actually.
Did you ever see the movie with Robbie Benson?
I never saw the movie. I knew.
You disgust me. You disgust me. You call yourselves Americans. Robbie Benson worked hard on that movie. You go back and you watch that goddamn movie.
Didn't you agree with Joe and Dean and I? Didn't we read that 33 1/3? Like,
yeah, I own that book about the song.
It was Dean's book, and I think, right?
Yeah, I bought the book because I really love that song, and Bowie Gentry's an interesting character.
Yeah, and there's layers of the meaning in it. It's not just, you can get more out of it than just the story itself.
I think I remember. Did you ever hear? I think Frank Sinatra did a version of the song.
I'm sure lots of people did. I would like to hear his version, though.
Who's an interesting character? Robbie Benson, because he played Billy Joe.
Right,
he didn't just listen to the song; he lived it. And they explain a lot in that movie. So the subtext of the song is explained in the movie. So you might want to see the movie.
I guess I failed by not watching the movie for this.
Hey, Robbie, they didn't see your movie.
All right, let me go on to something more interesting, which is my least, could this possibly be more interesting? My least favorite story song of all time is from 1974, the year that a lot of band songs hit the top of the charts. And this one hit the top of the charts, at least in the United States. And it's by a British band called Paper Lace. And it's called The Night Chicago Died.
Oh dear.
And they're not talking about the band Chicago, they're talking about the city Chicago. And what confused me about this song when I was a kid hearing it was, if Chicago died, why is it still on the map, for one thing?
You ever smell it in the summer?
Maybe it's predicting when the members of Chicago are all dead.
No, because he called his gang to war against the forces of the law.
Well, it's about it's a gangster song, and you probably heard it. I'm sure everyone's heard it. The intro is spoken. It says, "Daddy was a cop on the east side of Chicago, back in the USA, back in the bad old days." And then the song starts. But first of all, one thing I learned is that there is no east side of Chicago, just like there's no East Philadelphia. There's a West Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, and South. And the same for Chicago. There's no real east side, but that doesn't matter.
Would be in the
Would be in the lake.
Yeah.
If there was an east side, it would be in the lake. So technically, there's an underwater. Wait, that's a better song. There's an underwater civilization, and his dad is Aqua Cop. Aqua Cop, man. Yeah.
Al Capone is a gangster leader. And Al Capone's name dropped here. A man named Al Capone tried to make that town his own, Chicago. Al Capone, if you don't know, was kind of a popular gangster in Chicago, or at least for a while. He was like a Robin Hood character, kind of a type of person, up until something called the Valentine's Day Massacre happened in 1929, and then his reputation went south, at least for the people in the United States. But this isn't about the Valentine's Massacre, because it happened in the summer, in the heat of a summer night. And it turns out it's all fictional. It's fictionalized. But the Al Capone calls a gang war against the police, apparently, and hundreds of police are killed in the song. Now the singer, the narrator, he is the son of a policeman, and his mom, he hears his mommy cry and pray the night Chicago died. And that night Chicago dies when they have this showdown and hundreds of police are killed, I guess, by the gang members. And you never know at the end who really, the kid's father survives and comes home, but that's the end of it. And
because his dad was on the take. His dad was being paid
off
by Al Capone.
His dad was on the take.
Yeah, it's on the take. They were all on the take.
But nothing like this apparently ever happened in history. I looked it up.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't, besides the fact that the song is historically inaccurate and leaves a lot of questions unanswered, besides what got thrown off the bridge. No, that's a different song.
I think they do throw something off a bridge in the night Chicago died. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It came out after Bad Bad Leroy Brown, which is about Chicago too. But that's beside the point. Which is another song I liked as a kid. But it's just such an annoying and cloying melody that now I can't get it out of my head again because I listened to it again today.
Did it rise through the charts? What was its top chart position?
It was number one in the United States. They're a British band. I didn't think it reached number one, but it was in the top 10. And
so it's a guy with a British accent going, "Daddy was a cop on the east side of Chicago. I heard Mumsy cry. Oh no, they shot his bangers in MASH."
It's the same band that wrote the song "Billy Don't Be a Hero."
Yes,
an album off that came out the same year. So that's.
I think they test marketed it with two different bands singing. I think they did with Billy's Don't Be a Hero, and I think they also did with Night Chicago Died, with having two different bands sing it, and they would play it on pop radio, like top.
Yeah, in the United States, the Paper Lace version didn't chart, but a different version charted of Billy Don't Be a Hero. But the Paper Lace version went to the top of the charts in '74.
Well, if they'd have made a movie of it with Robbie Benson, I would have watched it.
So if anybody
Yeah,
out there
touch-
ever visits the great city of Philadelphia, they should visit Eastern State Penitentiary, and they could see Al Capone's cell there.
Yep.
He was such a popular prisoner there that he got his own furniture and had all the luxurious food he wanted and everything. So
Visit for Halloween and do the Terror Behind the Walls, but do the extra ticket, and you can stay and you can drink in Al Capone's cell, because that's the Philadelphia way.
That it, Joe?
Yeah, thanks.
Joe was played by Robbie Benson tonight.
For the for the best one, I chose the song 5 Years by David Bowie from Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And because honestly, I could hear that song for the rest of my life. Maybe not every day, but like as often as I do, which is probably a couple times a year. And I either hear it or I put it on, and I feel like I kind of get something different out of it each time. And I remember hearing it like around like 9/11 and being like, ooh, maybe there's, 5 years left. And then, there was like a pandemic going on, and all those people predicting the end of the world like 10 years ago. But I don't know. I think lyrically, it's kind of oddly specific, but ambiguous enough that you don't know like what happened, like what's going on is like, climate change. It just feels like a timeless song. And like just kind of like the innocence of it, where he talks about like thinking about telephones and his brain hurts like a warehouse. So yeah, story songs. I think that's a pretty good one. The runner-up was the song "Pretty Boy Floyd" by Woody Guthrie. There's some great lines in there, especially at the end. I have to look it up because through this world I've wandered. I've seen lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, some with a fountain pen. And as through your life you travel, yes, as through your life you roam, you won't never see an outlaw drive a family from their home. Now that I read that, it's a double negative. So,
So what do you think Pretty Boy Floyd threw off that bridge?
Robbie Benson.
Bobby Benson.
Baby Bob Dylan.
Baby Bob Dylan. There he is.
Who survived? So yeah, for the worst, I actually chose. I had trouble because I kind of like story songs. The worst is one that I actually like, but I can't listen to it as often as 5 Years. And I say it's the worst because it just bothers me every time in a different way. It's the song "Frankie Teardrop" by the band Suicide.
I love that song. I love that song.
It is the worst story song ever. And I'm just going to read some excerpts from it. And, this is like, I don't know if anybody's heard it that's listening or watching, but I would say there's a few, I would give you like some trigger warnings, maybe content wise, but also volume wise. If you're listening on headphones, keep it low. So Frankie Teardrop, 20-year-old Frankie. He's married, he's got a kid, and he's working in a factory. He's working from 7 to 5. That sucks. He's just trying to survive. Well, let's hear it for Frankie. Frankie. Well, Frankie can't make it because things are just too hard. Frankie can't make enough money. Frankie can't buy enough food. And Frankie's getting evicted. Oh, let's hear it for Frankie. Oh, Frankie. Oh, Frankie. Frankie is so desperate, he's gonna kill his wife and kids. Frankie's gonna kill his kid. Frankie picked up a gun, pointed at the 6-month-old in the crib. I was said an excerpt, so let's just. The song's 10.5 minutes long.
And if you like that song, you'll like Shooby-Doo by the Cars, because it's the same freaking song. They threw me out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I was screaming, "Shooby-doo is Frankie Teardrop, and you can't shut me up." But it turned out they could shut me up.
Yeah, that's
Good
a pretty
choices.
good song.
Good choices. Although I would put Frankie Teardrop up in a best spot.
You know, I thought of one actually just when Joe started talking about the Billy Joe. I thought about an old song, and I don't even know what the origin is, but it's like Down by the Willow Tree or something. It's about a young girl that gets murdered. The way I heard it was in Raising Arizona. Holly Hunter was singing it to the baby, and I always thought, wow, that's a really cool melody. And I looked it up years ago, and it's I can't remember the name of it, but we'll put a link to that because it's a cool one too. So I'm done.
Okay. So one of my favorite story songs is a song by Nick Lowe called Mary Provost. And it's the story of a former silent movie star whose actual name was Murray Prevost with an E. I think he might have changed the spelling to protect his from getting sued or whatever. But Mary Prevost was a star of the silent era, and she was very popular, very attractive. If you look at pictures online, she's a very attractive young lady. But unfortunately, she didn't make the transition to the talkies like a lot of those silent film stars. And she descended into alcoholism, and she gained weight. She wasn't as attractive as she used to be. And what happened was she eventually died in her apartment. And the neighbors noticed that the dog in her house, she had a dachshund dog that was just barking incessantly for like 3 days. And so they finally called the police, and they came and they busted down her door. And they went inside, and they found that Murray has succumbed to her alcoholism and died, and her little dog was there. Now, there's a book called Hollywood Babylon by Kenneth Anger that kind of sensationalized this story, which is been sort of proven not to be really true. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff in that book. No, she was not stuck in there for 3 weeks dead, and no, her dog was not eating her. Her dog was merely nipping at her legs or whatever, trying to wake her up because he thought she was, in trouble. But I think Nick took a little liberty, and he decided that I can play with this. One of my favorite things about the song is the chorus, which is, "She was a winner. She became the doggy's dinner. She never meant that much to me, but now I see, oh, poor Mary."
Great, yeah.
So it's a great little pop song.
Yeah.
It's just a great little song, about her, her movie career and how she fell and, off the popularity charts and just descended into alcoholism. And it was kind of, it's a very sad story. She made an attempt to come back. She was trying to lose weight and stop drinking, but she just couldn't do it, and she passed away. And anyway, so that's one of my favorite story songs. For one of my least favorite, I'd have to say, is a song called "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" by the Charlie Daniels Band. This song was very popular. I think it came out in 1979, if I'm correct. I think it reached number 3 on the charts. And of course, it's a song about, Johnny taking on the devil for a battle for his soul. And Johnny defeats the devil by playing the fiddle better than the devil can. It's just, it was a very popular song while I was in high school, and I just can't stand that song.
You know the story behind the Guitar Hero version, right?
No, I do not.
All right. Charlie Daniels, who was a 10-gallon asshat, was mad because you could lose to the devil in the video game version, in the Guitar Hero version. And this man does not understand how video games work. But as for the Mary Provost song, they actually made a movie of that, and her dog was played by Robbie Benson in the movie.
Okay.
He is good. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. We're burning daylight.
Okay, well, I'm done.
No,
I'm done.
go ahead. We have more?
No, I'm done. I'm really done.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say, at first I realized, as someone who has written a lot of story songs, I was thinking, I really don't like story songs. And then I thought, well, I like Minnie the Moocher. And then I thought, well, I really like Folsom Prison Blues. I like Spill the Wine. I like Space Oddity. I like Curse of Millhaven. I like Time for Tea. I love Midnight Train to Georgia, which is an amazing one. And I, of course, love Have You Seen Her? We laugh, tell a few jokes, but still, it'll never be the same. But one I recommend to people is Song of Samael by Ego Likeness off of their Breedless album. Because it's almost like no other story song. It's a story song sung from the perspective of Lilith, who was Adam's first wife, and who in a lot of traditions became a demon. So after she had wanted to be on top during sex, and Adam said, no, I want to be on top, it became a big thing. So that's why there's two creation stories in Genesis. One where she's made from the rib, that's Lilith, who was his equal, and another where the woman is made from the dirt, that would be Eve. So in the tradition, Lilith goes on, she takes up with some demons, she has demon children. So in the song, it's a song from Lilith basically writing a letter to the fallen angel, Samael, saying, I've had it with people. They're horrifying. And there's a great line in the song that says, I've seen a man rape his only child and murder one he called a friend. Let's do them in. Let's show them what we can really do. Let's show them what destruction is. And the chorus is basically, Samael, meet me at the Red Sea. In other words, meet me here. And we've had our differences, but enough. We need to wipe them out. And to write a song from the perspective of someone who is a little different from human and who has, the backstory, depending on what tradition you go to, says different things, is absolutely amazing. I once tried, and I still try it. I've been trying for a while. I never give up on these things, but Sergat, the Prince of Hell, the Prince of Keys, I've wanted to write a song from his perspective forever, just wondering what it would be like to be a demon in this world, to walk around. Would you be in disgust of humans? Would you say, they're not doing that? Would you wonder why they were the loved of the person who threw out? It's just a brilliant song, and it works on a lot of different levels. It's beautiful. The piano work is amazing. So yeah, there'll be a link. Please listen to it. If you cry, I can't be held responsible. All right, now that is a great song. Now let's talk about bad story songs, because there are a lot of them. Daddy, please don't. It wasn't his fault. He means so much to me. Daddy, please don't. We're gonna get married. Just you wait and see. Yes, I'm talking about from 1975, Run, Joey, Run by David Geddes. This song is horrifying. This girl becomes pregnant to some guy, and she tells her dad, hey, it's like Papa Don't Preach, but with a gun, because the dad decides to hunt him down. And then we're going to put a link. There's an actual video for this. They made like a video in the 70s for it. You're not going to believe your eyes. Also, the cover for it looks like a cover for like one of those old gay porn books. So the cover for the song, you have to see it to believe it. But so what happens is, I don't want to ruin it for you, but dad goes to shoot the girl and goes to shoot Joey, and the girl gets in the way and she gets shot and she dies. So it's sung from him perspective, like every night, the same old dream. It is, but there's a great part in this. If you're watching this, please sample this part of the song and use it in another song. You'll be my friend for life. There's a part where she goes, watch out. And it's up there with like in Leader of the Pack, where the girl goes, watch out, watch out, watch out. So it definitely needs to be sampled. It needs a second life. I would do it, but I'm busy with other things. Now, we talked about Mr. David Geddes, and you would think just writing that song, you think that's possibly the worst story song of all time. But no, Mr. Geddes stepped up to the plate for another time in 1975 again, and he hit another one out of the park, and he hit that out with the last game of the season, a blind man in the bleachers. I don't know how familiar you are with this one, but it's the story of a second string football player. He's second string, doesn't normally get to play the game. And up in the bleachers sits his blind dad. And his blind dad is just waiting to hear his name announced. So the guy, he dresses for he runs all the drills. He dresses up for every game, but he never gets to play. He doesn't, but his dad doesn't care. Blind dad sits, who again would enjoy this show more as a podcast. Blind dad sits up in the bleachers and he's waiting to hear his son's name. So then at one point, dad's not in the bleachers and the son steps up to the coach. Coach, you got to put me in. You've got to put me in. So, the coach puts him in and he plays and he scores like 10,000 touchdowns or something. Right? And so the coach says to him, son, what made you play so well tonight? And he says, it's the first time my daddy has seen me play, because his dad died and apparently isn't. And I thought, that's bad. But then I thought, I'm not a licensed theologian. But again, I know about Samael, the fallen angel. So Samael, and Lilith. But here's the thing. This is an interesting perspective this guy has. That somehow his dad would get his sight back in heaven. God made your dad blind for a reason, buddy. He's not, could have been looking at girly magazines. I don't know what. And that's another thing too. If God says, you know what? Welcome to heaven. You get your sight back. What do you want to see? He might want to see naked people. It's going to be a while. Oh yeah, my son's playing that game. Also, God made his son a second string quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be able to really step up and and give him his sight back. So yeah, the song is a train wreck. And one thing I noticed when I was doing research for this is any song where the protagonist is sort of an anti-hero, Curse of Millhaven, a great example with the little girl that goes on the murdering spree, and then they ask her if she has any regrets, and she's like, there's so much more I could have done, they'd let me. Any song like that is good. Any song where the person's like trying to be good, like Teen Angel, where the guy tries to retrieve a ring from a railroad track and gets run over, those songs suck. So if you're writing a story song, seriously, I'm not joking. Folsom Prison Blues. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. It's a great song, but like I'm saying, if your protagonist is good and stuff, that song's probably going to blow. But
A Boy Named Sue is
anti-hero.
another good one.
What's that?
A Boy Named Sue is another good one. I just thought of it when you talked about Folsom.
A Boy Named Sue. Although I would say the protagonist in that does go to beat the crap out of his dad.
Yes, that's true.
So I'll side with you on that.
And Johnny Cash got to say "son of a bitch," and sometimes it gets bleeped out.
It gets bleeped a lot. It got bleeped all through the 70s. Because if people would have heard the term "son of a bitch," Vietnam would have gone on well into the 90s.
That was also a factor in the Charlie Daniels song, because the original line was, you son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
And then the Charlie Daniels redubbed it for, Christian radio or whatever, son of a gun or whatever.
What a Christian. And he also wrote, this ain't no rag, it's a flag. So clearly Jesus was guiding his hand. That's it. He should be up in the bleachers with the blind guy. In heaven, Charlie got a new hat. All right.
Okay, recommendations. I have for my sole recommendation this week a album available on Bandcamp. It's pretty fresh, by Cool Z from Iowa. He's a hip hop artist and an alternative rock artist or whatever, punk, what have you. But this album only has one hip hop song on it, and it's a collaboration with the great Schaefer, the Dark Lord, and all the others are he also does loungy punk, loungy songs. There's some and ballads. So basically this is a collection of his latest songs that are mostly not hip hop, and it's called Thank You by Cool Z. There you have it.
I would like to recommend Costa Rica. It's the Republic of Costa Rica. Translates to Rich Coast. It's in Central America. They have 2 international airports. Population of 5 million people. 19,710 square miles. San Jose is the capital. It's the largest city as well. The Constitution was November 7th, 1949, and their government is a unitary presidential constitutional republic, which I need to remind myself to look up what that means. They have birds and monkeys and orchids and sugar cane, and beaches have public access, and there are tolls though, but I don't think they have addresses. I've never been there, but I would recommend going there because it sounds cool. And I found some pictures we can put up.
And you can drink all the liquor down in Costa Rica, and it ain't nobody's business but your own.
Actually, I'll have to pass on this one. I don't have any recommendations this week. Sorry.
All right. He recommends we move to me. First recommendation. Some people say the perfect song doesn't exist, and that was right until earlier this week when ESA, which is Electronic Substance Abuse. And by the way, we're filming this on International EBM Day. So happy to the people on my side of the stage. Happy International EBM Day to you. Although you won't see us till Saturday, so I hope you celebrate it. So ESA, which is Electronic Substance Abuse, have a song called One Missed Call, and their new album is Designer Carnage. The song is freaking amazing. It starts off with a recorded phone message of somebody's pissed off ex, and it just keeps getting better from there. So please check it out. I guarantee you will love this song. It will become one of your favorites. Pinky swear. All right, the other thing I'm going to recommend is that if you try something and it doesn't quite work out, don't think of it as a failure. Think of it as an experiment. A friend of mine had shot me over a picture where he had taken a saxophone mouthpiece and attached it to a clarinet. And he's like, but it sounds like shit. And I'm like, no, you just found a way to not make it sound good. If you keep experimenting, you'll probably have something there. Or maybe somebody will sample it and use it on something, but just that is really, it looks cool. And I'm not going to share the picture because, I don't know, my friend's cool with that, but I'm like, it's awesome. And that's got me thinking about Formula 409, right? Formula 409. It was on the 409th try that they finally got it right. There were probably people who wanted to give up around Formula 37, and then, oh man, it'll never work. And then he's like, no. Somebody probably went, you know what? Let's just go to 500. Let's just go to 500. And if we don't get it, and then they got, it would have been, if they got it on 420, I don't know how that would have worked out, like Formula 420. But I'm saying is, just reimagine it. They found different ways not to make the cleanser. I forget who said I've never failed at anything, but I found a million different ways not to do something. And that's the way. When I was a kid, I failed hard. I failed so badly on a calculus test that the teacher put the F on it and made me go home and get it signed. And when I showed it to my parents, my mother said, "Oh, thank God." And I was like, why? She goes, your father and I were afraid you might be experimenting with mind-expanding drugs. Clearly you're not. And it was great. But the thing I learned about that was I learned how not to study for a calculus test. But my mom did keep reminding me that Rosemary Kennedy was lobotomized because she couldn't do calculus. they had that in their back pocket. But what I'm saying is, folks, try and experiment. Last week, we did the songs about sex, and it didn't get a lot of views. And I was kind of bummed because a lot of ones where I have the topic, I'm always proud of the number of views they get. It didn't get a lot of views, but I worked hard on it. I thought it was a good episode. I think it may have a second life at some point, but I'm just saying, I don't think of it as failure. I learned something from it. I'm learned, okay, this may not work, and take it from
Rodney,
there.
I don't think it was your fault. You know why?
Because it had a child restriction on it?
Yes, that's exactly why.
That was my fault.
People had to log in to see it, and most people don't look at YouTube with a login.
With a login, I know. But I blame that because we didn't want my child, any of my children, to see it. So down in Costa Rica, they're being babysat by Robbie Benson. Hi, Robbie. So just saying, but don't think of stuff as a failure. Think of it like, keep going at it and keep saying, okay, this didn't work. Like me with my Surgat song, the Demon of Keys, I will keep working at it, and maybe one day it'll be a hit in hell. So, all right, that's it for me.
Hey, I thought of something to recommend.
Oh.
I thought of something that people could think about when they talk to people. And it's based on something I saw online. A fellow named Jim Ray on Twitter, who I've never met, but I know him tangentially. And he says, you don't say good luck. You say, don't give up.